Musiker-Board land, we got the treat of visiting the factory workshop of Tom Anderson, who is long enough in the business to tell some good stories and to share some knowledge about building guitars. Welcome, Tom Anderson.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
At the beginning of this specific trip, we had we went back to history and looked to a very old-fashioned way of building a guitar, which is a good guitar afterwards as well. You developed into the future, and you're still developing, as you told us earlier.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So perhaps you want to share where your original starting point was, and give us some ideas what things you found out that potentially need a change in building the guitar to make it as good as you want it to be.
Well, it started, I was a guitar player as a child. Playing guitar was the only thing I ever wanted to do. And made a living playing guitar for maybe 5 years after high school. But I was also what we call here a tinkerer. I loved taking things apart. I loved changing things, whether it was in the old days slot cars, these electric cars that ran on tracks. I rewound motors. I built frames, those kind of things.
That deep into it.
I really deep into it, yeah. But always playing guitar too, because that's what I knew I was going to do as an adult. School wasn't important for me because I knew I was going to play guitar. So, but in 1977, I was considering getting married. The disco scene had happened in Los Angeles, so the venues for playing guitar were starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So I thought maybe I need to find something else to do.
Live on.
And I had been friends with Dave Schecter from Schecter Guitar Research, and before the company existed. And a friend of his, who he was going into business with, visited a retail store I was working at doing repairs and showed me Dave Schecter's first pickups. And he showed it to me thinking he was showing me something brand new. And I said, oh, those are Dave Schecter's. He says, you know Dave? I said, yes, I know Dave. So they were just starting the company at that point in time, and they asked if I wanted to come work for them. So I said, that sounds like a good idea, So I started working in 77. And at that point, we were just making pickups and just really pickups. And they proceeded to want to make the company do parts and components and then bodies, then necks and all that. So it was, I learned a lot from Dave. Dave had never done production on a large or any kind of scale, just, one man building things. So together we learned how to make different things. We made metal parts, we made, we had screw machine, we made bridges, we made all the strap buttons and all that stuff. We made all that stuff in-house, and then we set up a wood shop to make bodies and to make necks, and then eventually guitars.
Which is quite funny, because from the trips in the last 7 years, I kind of always came back to the original starting point with a guy called Kaufman going to Rickenbacker for repair of his amp, stuff like that, and they can see this company spread out. And the next starting point for most of it is when CBS took over Fender, and there was a need to do stuff better than CBS could do with Fender. So at that point, there's another spread of people that developed from that one origin. The more people I talked, like unexpectedly was Triad Orbit, a very highly sophisticated sound. He comes from the guy behind it comes also from the Schecter root.
He was the one that came to my store. Herschel Blankenship came to my store and said, look at what this thing.
So that kind of covers the thing again, and I consider like those 2 points as the main starting points for everything that happened in California in the meantime.
It started the whole parts business, the whole making, and at that point in time it really was a parts business, not a guitar company. It was, how can we make components for other guitars that will work better than the original equipment? So that's where it started. And then in the early 80s, Schecter had some other people come into the company, investing in the company, and they weren't guitar people. And their goal was to make things cheaper and to outsource components. So they sent me to Japan to outsource bodies and necks. to teach them what we wanted and how things were supposed to be. And I did that, and it wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. So in 1984, I left. Oh, and during that process, they actually let go of David Schecter. They said, what does he do here?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a value here. So, So in 1984, I stayed in contact with Dave, and Dave just said to me, if you really want to control what your business is doing, you need to start your own business.
Right.
Because these guys, people like this, won't necessarily have your best interests.
Okay.
So,
or different ones.
Different ones,
if,
yeah.
If you're behind the money, they might have a good interest, and
Right.
that helps and supports you.
Right, but the product
if you're
wasn't.
into guitar building
Yeah.
with the wish to build the quality,
Yeah.
then you might be better off doing
Yeah.
or controlling your.
Yeah, that was not their goal.
Right.
So in the early 1984, I left Schecter, and by the end of the summer that year, they closed the facility that was making parts there and moved to Texas and started buying components from
everywhere.
anybody that
Kind
could
of
get
being
them.
moving from a producer to being a distribution.
Yes, yeah. So in '84 I started, and again, I was really just thinking about making components.
Okay.
Being a guitar company was not really what I had in mind. I was going to have a little shop. It was just going to be me, and I had a 2-year-old son, and I thought maybe someday he'll want to get
He'll
involved.
take over.
And
That didn't work out so far.
it didn't. No, it didn't.
There's 84, 2 years at 84.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah, he's
sufficient old by now.
He's 35 now. Yeah. So I made the first thing that actually kept my family alive for that first year I was in business was Schecter had set up a division in Japan for making products for Japan consumption.
Okay.
They needed pickups, and Schecter didn't know how to make pickups anymore.
Okay.
There was nobody left that knew how to make pickups. So I met with the Japanese counterpart of Schecter and cut a deal to make 300 Strat pickups a month for them. And that relationship continued until just about a year ago.
Okay.
So that first year, I made a living making 300
Winding
pickups a
pickups.
month at night while I was setting up my wood shop in my garage during the
Okay.
day. So after about a year of working in my garage, I realized I needed more space. So got a small shop and hired my first employee, and
It's
spent a
a
couple.
complete new world.
Oh,
coming
completely new, because now I had the expense of a shop and, the rent, the electricity and the phones and all that stuff.
over. Yeah, that was something we were talking about the last week. It's kind of, you start, and as long as you're able to do everything yourself, kind of time doesn't really matter.
Right.
And as soon as you bring an employee in, he has like 40 hours a week. And you have to find a way to make the same quality product that people expected out of your 80-hour week,
Yeah,
plus an extra employee at the same price point.
right,
And
right.
I think that's the hardest challenge in growing.
Yeah, and I think that's that size. I think we got up to 4 of us in that first shop, and that was that was the most, I think, difficult time
Okay.
during the business cycle. I think, all by yourself, all you can do is dream. You're dreaming about all the things you're going to do, and you do everything yourself, so you have complete control over everything. And then once you have several people, it's keeping them busy and keeping the work at the level you expect it to be. That's really challenging. And then you have the permits and the government to deal with, and all with taxes and all these things. So it's a really difficult time.
So how many steps did you grow, and how often you were thinking of stopping all that?
Well, I just wanted to do it, so I really wasn't thinking about stopping it. Much later I did at one point, but not then. But then in 1989, my wife encouraged me to talk to a friend of ours about coming in and running the office.
Okay.
Because I was doing everything on a yellow pad. Everything was in a pencil on a yellow pad. All the orders, everything on a yellow pad. Very disorganized. This friend of ours, Lori Berg, she'd been in hospital administration.
Okay.
And so she really knew
What to do?
organization. So the idea was she was going to come work for me for 6 months to get me organized, then leave.
Okay.
Go do something else.
She's still here, or?
She's still here.
Okay, that's what I expected.
Yeah, she became my partner in this business.
Okay.
And completely organized us and kind of kept all that end
All
of the
the
business
process.
running, and organized, and was also an invaluable asset in her ability to look at situations and make great decisions about things we're going to do in the future and all that kind of stuff. And a little more, she looked at our customers, our dealers, and the business end of our business with a completely different way of seeing it than I did.
Yeah.
So it was just, the balance was really beneficial, and it really helped. And she was also a person that, she was very into technical statistics and stuff, but also very much could see that if it's the right thing to do, you do it even if it's not the most
Sufficient
financially. Maybe if you can't
Okay.
financially justify it
Yeah.
by numbers, we can see that this is the right thing we should be doing.
Okay.
Either from an ethical standpoint or from a business standpoint. So she is now trying to work part-time.
Okay.
She's a little bit older than I am, so
Okay.
at kind of retirement age, but definitely doesn't want to do nothing. So she's trying to work here
Which is good.
half-time now, which is great. Her input is invaluable.